Welcome to English Avenue Bookish. Today is not just another day. It is the day your silence ends and your voice begins. We are not here to talk about English grammar in a boring way. We are here to perform a total re-engineering of your speaking process. For years, there has been a silent, invisible wall standing between what you know in your head and what you can say with your mouth. We are going to dismantle that wall, brick by brick, right here, right now. By the end of this journey today, and I call it a journey because it requires your full presence, I guarantee you will look in the mirror and say with absolute, unshakable conviction, finally, my voice is my own. I finally understand the mechanics of speech. I finally know how to train my mouth. I want you to stay with me for every single second of this 40-minute masterclass. Do not skip, do not look away, and do not treat this like background noise. This is a transformation of your identity. This could be the definitive turning point in your entire English learning journey. If you have been searching for a sign, if you have been waiting for someone to tell you that you are capable, then this is it. We are going to fix the deep-rooted problems that no teacher, no textbook, and no app ever told you about. We are going to break the chains of hesitation that keep you quiet in meetings, in interviews, and in conversations. This is your moment of reclamation. Subscribe to English Avenue Bookish immediately, because from this second forward, we stop studying English and we start inhabiting English. Let me start by asking you a question that might hurt a little bit, but it is necessary for your growth. How many thousands of hours have you spent consuming this language? Think back over the years. You have memorized endless lists of irregular verbs. You have watched countless Hollywood films with subtitles. You have listened to podcasts and YouTube lessons in total silence for a decade. Yet the moment a real person looks you in the eye and asks you a simple question, your mind goes completely blank. Your throat tightens like a drum. Your tongue feels like a heavy piece of lead in your mouth. Your heart races, and your confidence simply evaporates into thin air. Does this cycle sound familiar to you? You are a smart person. You are successful in other areas of your life. So why, in the name of heaven, can you not speak this language? The answer is shockingly simple, yet it is the best-kept secret in language education. It isn't because you lack intelligence. It isn't because your English is bad or low level. It is because your mouth is physically untrained. This is the truth that schools hide from you because they want to sell you more grammar books. Your tongue, your lips, and your jaw are muscles. Just like your biceps or your hamstrings, they have not been coached to move in the specific rhythmic patterns required for English. You have been treating English like a history subject to be memorized for an exam, when you should have been treating it like a high-performance sport to be practiced on the field. You have been a passive consumer, a spectator in the stands. But today, English Avenue Bookish is turning you into a vocal athlete. You are reading, you are watching, and you are listening. But you are not training your speaking muscles. That is the precise reason why nothing changes year after year. That is why you stay stuck in that painful loop of I understand everything they say, but I can't say a word back. Your confidence dies the moment you open your mouth because your physical body is not prepared for the sounds you are trying to make. English is not a collection of abstract, cold rules sitting in a dusty corner of your brain. English is a physical vibration. It is an emotional rhythm. It lives in the movement of your vocal cords, the shape of your lips, and the flow of your breath. Until you train those physical components, you will always feel like an outsider looking in. But today, that cycle of frustration ends. This is not a boring lecture. This is a physical intervention to wake up your mouth and build real, authentic fluency from absolute zero. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to have a fancy degree from a UK university. All you need is the right physical method and the raw courage to sound like a clumsy beginner today so that one day, very soon, you can sound like a master. Let's dive deep into the shocking truth that no one talks about. Your mouth simply does not know how to move like an English speaker yet. I want you to pause and really think about that. It is not your memory that is failing you. It is not that you are forgetting words. It is that your mouth muscles don't have the muscle memory to produce those words at speed. English is a physical language. It has a unique rhythm, a specific stress pattern, and a very particular muscular shape. Imagine reading 100 books about how to do a perfect push-up. You know the science of the chest muscles. You know the exact angle of the elbows. But if you've never actually put your hands on the floor and pushed, what happens when you finally try? You collapse. Your muscles give out. You collapse because your muscles are weak. That is exactly what is happening every time you try to speak English. You know the words in your mind, but your jaw is stiff. Your tongue is lazy. They are deeply accustomed to the phonetic patterns of your native language. They don't know how to handle the rapid speed of English, or the way sounds link and melt into one another. This is why you sound broken or robotic or nervous. It is a physical failure of the muscles, not a mental failure of the brain. You are trying to run a marathon without ever having walked. This is the reason you constantly tell yourself, "I understand everything, but I can't speak." Speaking is a muscular act. In your native language, you have repeated every single vowel and consonant millions of times since you were a toddler. Your mouth moves on autopilot. But in English, have you ever truly trained for the soft sound? Have you practiced the linking R or the rising and falling intonation that gives the language its soul? Probably not. You skip them because they feel weird. You mumble them because you're embarrassed. And that physical awkwardness is exactly what destroys your confidence before you even finish a sentence. Now, let's talk about the solution. To become a fluent speaker, you must stop being a student and start being an actor. You must stop thinking and start doing. You must transition from the learning phase to the training phase. In the learning phase, you gather information. In the training phase, you build skill. Most of you have been in the learning phase for 10 years. It is time to leave. It is time to enter the gym. At English Avenue Bookish, our philosophy is built on the concept of the vocal gym. Just as you go to the gym to build your physical body, you must come to your vocal practice to build your speech. We are going to go through a series of intense, focused, and repetitive drills. These drills are designed to bypass your conscious mind and go straight into your subconscious muscle memory. We are going to train your tongue to find the right position without you having to think about it. We are going to train your breath to support long, complex sentences without you running out of air. We are going to train your ears to hear the subtle rhythms of British English so that your mouth can mirror them perfectly. This is a complete system. It is a daily discipline. If you give me 5 minutes of absolute focused effort every single day, I promise you that your English will sound fundamentally different in 30 days. Not just better, but different, stronger, clearer, and more authoritative. Part 2. The physical routine. Now that we have established the why, it is time to move into the how. At English Avenue Bookish, we don't believe in magic pills. We believe in the science of repetition. If you want to speak like a native, you must train like a native. This brings us to the core of our transformation, the daily 5-minute mouth training routine. You might think, only 5 minutes? That sounds too simple. But let me tell you something about the human brain. The brain does not learn through long, boring hours of passive study. The brain learns through short, intense bursts of physical repetition. It is the frequency, not the duration, that builds muscle memory. If you do this for 5 minutes every single day, you are telling your nervous system that English is a priority. You are carving new neural pathways. You are literally reshaping the way your brain communicates with your mouth. Let's break down the first minute of this routine, the vocal warm-up. Why do we warm up? Because tension is the greatest enemy of fluency. When you are nervous, your jaw locks. When your jaw locks, your sounds become flat and muffled. You sound like you are struggling, and that makes you feel even more nervous. It is a vicious cycle. To break it, we must physically loosen the muscles. Start with lip rolls. Close your lips loosely and blow air through them so they vibrate like a motorboat. Do this for 10 seconds. Feel the tickle in your nose and lips. This vibration wakes up the blood flow. Next, the tongue stretch. Your tongue is the most powerful muscle in your mouth. If it is stiff, your English will be heavy. Push your tongue out as far as it can go. Hold it for 3 seconds and pull it back. Repeat this 5 times. Finally, the jaw release. Open your mouth as wide as possible, as if you are yarning at a boring movie, and then let it drop shut. Do this until you feel the tension behind your ears disappear. Now your mouth is no longer a cage. It is an instrument ready to be played. Moving into the second minute, the mirror technique. This is where most learners fail because they are too shy. But here at English Avenue Bookish, We leave our ego at the door. I want you to stand in front of a mirror and look yourself directly in the eyes. This is a psychological exercise as much as a physical one. Choose one powerful, high-frequency British English sentence. For example, I am absolutely delighted to be improving my speech today. Now, say it while watching your mouth. Do your lips move enough? Is your jaw opening wide enough for the vowels? Most learners try to speak English while barely moving their lips. This is why they sound unclear. In English, especially British English, the mouth needs to be active. Watch yourself. Correct yourself. If you look confident in the mirror, you will feel confident in the street. Say that sentence 10 times. Each time, try to make it smoother. Each time, try to look more like the version of yourself that is already fluent. You are not just practicing words, you are practicing an identity. The 3rd and 4th minutes are dedicated to shadow speaking. This is the heavy lifting of our workout. Shadowing is the process of following a native speaker's voice like a shadow follows a person. You aren't waiting for them to finish the sentence to repeat it. No, you are speaking with them, perhaps just a fraction of a second behind. Why is this so powerful? Because it bypasses your analytical brain. When you shadow, you don't have time to think about the past perfect continuous, or whether the preposition is in or at. You only have time to mimic the sound, the rhythm, and the music. Pick a short clip of a British speaker, perhaps a news anchor, an actor, or a narrator. Listen to the way their voice rises at the end of a question. Listen to the way they swallow certain sounds to make the sentence move faster. This is called connected speech. In British English, we don't say, I want to go to the cinema. We say, I want to get to the cinema. The words melt together. If you try to say every word perfectly, you will sound like a machine. But when you shadow, your mouth learns to melt the words together naturally. You are training your brain to recognize sound units rather than word units. Spend 2 full minutes on this. Don't worry if you stumble. Don't worry if you miss a few words. The goal is not perfection. The goal is synchronization. You are trying to catch the beat of the language. English is a stress time language. It has a heartbeat. Da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. Shadowing teaches your heart to beat in English. This is the secret that polyglots use to learn 5 or 6 languages. They don't study, they shadow. They don't analyze, they imitate. Finally, the 5th minute, the fluency loop. This is the final sprint of our workout. Take the same sentence you used in the mirror and apply the 3-speed rule. First, say it super slow. I mean incredibly slow, like a slow-motion movie. I am a D, absolutely delighted. This ensures your muscles know exactly where to go. It builds clarity. Second, say it at normal speed. This builds flow. Third, say it as fast as you humanly can. Push your tongue to move faster than it wants to. This builds reflexes. When you push your limits in practice, the real world becomes easy. Real conversation feels like a slow-motion stroll compared to the high-speed loop. This 5-minute routine is your daily contract. It is your promise to English Avenue Bookish and, more importantly, to yourself. But let's be honest for a moment. Why do so many people stop after 3 days? Why does the fire die out? It's because they expect a linear path to success. They think every day will be better than the last. But fluency is not a straight line. It is a staircase. Some days you will feel like a genius. Other days, your tongue will feel like a piece of wood and you will forget how to say the word hello. This is normal. This is part of the biological rewiring of your brain. When you feel like quitting, that is exactly when the most growth is happening. That is when your brain is working the hardest to delete your old, slow habits and install the new, fast English habits. At English Avenue Bookish, we say, don't trust your feelings, trust the system. Even if you feel like you are failing, if you are moving your mouth, you are winning. Think about the passive learner versus the vocal athlete. The passive learner has 10 different English apps on their phone. They have 5 notebooks filled with vocabulary that they never use. They follow 50 English teachers on TikTok. They are collecting information like people collect stamps. But when it's time to speak, they are terrified. They are like a person who has memorized the entire map of London but has never actually stepped outside their house. They have knowledge, but they don't have skill. Skill is only born in the fire of action. Skill is the ability to use what you know under pressure, and the only way to build that pressure is through the physical repetition we are doing today. You are currently watching a 40-minute video. Most people would have clicked away by now. They want a 3-minute shortcut. They want to know 10 phrases to sound like a native. But those phrases are useless if your mouth can't produce them. You are different. You are still here. You are part of the 1% who understands that mastery requires time and depth. By staying through this masterclass, you are already demonstrating the discipline needed for fluency. You are showing that you value your voice enough to invest the time. This voice is your bridge to the world. It is the tool that will get you that promotion in London, that will allow you to make friends in New York, and that will give you the confidence to lead a team. Don't treat this lightly. Every repetition is a brick in the house of your future. Every shadow session is a step toward the life you have always dreamed of. Part 3: Sound Clusters and the Psychological Shift. Welcome back. If you are still here, you have already proven that you have more discipline than 99% of English learners. Most people want the result without the work, but at English Avenue Bookish, we know that the work is the result. Now we are moving into the most critical technical secret of British English, the science of sound clusters. Have you ever wondered why you can understand a native speaker perfectly when they speak slowly, but the moment they talk to a friend, it sounds like a different language? It is because you are listening for words, but they are speaking in clusters. In your native language, you don't say every syllable with equal strength. You have a rhythm. But when you speak English, you likely speak like a robot. I am going to the office. This is exhausting for your mouth and boring for the listener. Native British speakers speak in musical units. We take 4 or 5 words and we melt them into a single sound. For example, what do you want to do becomes what you want to do. Give me a bit of time becomes give me a bit of time. If you try to fight this, you will always sound like a foreigner. If you embrace it, you will sound like you were born in London. Let's practice the top 10 British sound clusters together. I want you to repeat these after me, not as words, but as single sounds. Going to becomes gonna. Say it, gonna, 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 gonna. 2. Want to becomes wanna. Say it, wanna, wanna, gonna. 3. Got to becomes gotta. Say it, gotta, gotta, gotta. 4. Could have becomes coulda. 5. Should have becomes shoulda. 6. Would have becomes woulda. 7. Sort of becomes sorta. 8. Out of becomes zouta. 9. Kind of becomes kinda. 10. Don't know becomes dunno. Now, why does this matter? Because fluency is not about being perfect. It is about being efficient. Your mouth is trying to save energy. When you use clusters, you are using less physical effort to say more things. This allows you to speak faster without getting tired. This is the secret sauce of English Avenue Bookish. I want you to record yourself saying these 10 clusters today. Listen to the difference. One sounds like a textbook. The other sounds like a human being. Which one do you want to be? Now, let's pivot to the most ignored part of language learning, the psychological rewiring. Your mouth cannot speak what your brain does not believe. If you are standing in a meeting and your internal voice is saying, "Everyone is looking at me. They think my accent is funny. I'm going to make a grammar mistake," then your mouth will physically freeze. This is a biological stress response. Your body thinks you are being attacked by a lion, so it shuts down your speaking ability to save energy for running away. To be fluent, you must train your brain to feel safe while speaking English. How do we do this? We use emotional anchoring. Instead of practicing English as a cold academic exercise, you must practice it as an actor. Take a sentence like, "I am incredibly proud of the progress I am making." Now say it while smiling widely. Feel the joy in your chest. Now say it while standing up tall, shoulders back, as if you are a CEO giving a speech. Now say it while walking around the room. Why? Because when you attach a positive emotion and physical movement to a sentence, your brain tags that sentence as safe and familiar. It stops being a foreign language and starts being your voice. At English Avenue Bookish, we see this all the time. A student knows 5,000 words but is too afraid to use them. Another student knows only 500 words but uses them with such energy and emotion that everyone thinks they are fluent. Fluency is 20% knowledge and 80% psychology. You must give yourself permission to be imperfect. You must embrace the ugly phase of learning. You must be willing to sound like a beginner so that one day you can sound like a pro. If you are afraid of making a mistake, you are afraid of growing. Every time you stumble over a word, that is a sign that your brain is building a new connection. Celebrate the stumbles. They are the footsteps on the path to mastery. Let's talk about the translation trap. This is the biggest wall you will ever face. When you hear an English sentence, your brain tries to translate it into your native language. Think of a response in your native language, translate that back into English, and then speak. This process takes 5 seconds. In a real conversation, 5 seconds is an eternity. You look slow, you feel nervous, and the conversation moves on without you. You must cut the middleman. You must train your brain to connect English sounds directly to images and feelings. When you say water, don't think of the word for water in your language. Feel the coldness of a glass in your hand. See the blue waves of the ocean. Hear the sound of a splashing fountain. Connect the sound directly to the reality. This is why children learn so fast. They don't have a native language to translate into. They see an object and they learn its name. You must become like a child again. Use sticky notes around your house. Label your fridge, your door, your mirror, not with words, but with identity tags. When you see your door, don't say door. Say, this is the door I open to my future. This is the high-level training we offer at English Avenue Bookish. We don't just teach you how to talk, we teach you how to think. Let's go deeper into British English pronunciation. To the untrained ear, British English sounds elegant or sophisticated, but to a vocal athlete, it is about vowel placement. In American English, the mouth is often wider and flatter. In British English, the vowels are often more vertical. Your jaw needs to drop more. For the word bath, we don't say bath with a flat tongue. We say bath with a deep, hollow throat. For the word computer, we don't stress the R at the end. We let it disappear into a soft ah sound. Computer. This is called the non-rhotic R. Spend 1 minute every day practicing the disappearing R. Water becomes wada. Better becomes beta. Teacher becomes teacha. English Avenue Bookish becomes English Avenue Bookish. By mastering these small phonetic shifts, you signal to the listener that you understand the code of the language. It builds instant rapport and credibility. People stop focusing on your accent and start focusing on your message. And that, my friends, is the ultimate goal of communication. You want your words to carry weight. You want your voice to have authority. You want to be a person who enters a room and is listened to, not just heard. Final part, the conclusion. We are now approaching the end of this 40-minute journey. Your brain might be feeling tired. That is good. That means you're learning. That means you're pushing past your comfort zone. Take a sip of water. Stretch your arms. We are about to enter the most powerful part of the training, the identity shift. This is where we stop talking about learning English, and we start talking about becoming an English speaker. If you don't train, you will stay silent. That is the hard, cold truth. Stop being a passive learner who just collects information like a hobby. Information is not fluency. Transformation is fluency. The job you want, the higher salary you deserve, the friends you want to make, and the life you lead are all waiting for you on the other side of this training. Build your fluency brick by brick, day by day. By the end of this month, your fear will drop and your voice will rise. Say it with me right now. I will no longer be silent. I will train my mouth every day. This is your contract with yourself. This is your promise to your future. Don't let your potential die in silence. If this journey helped you today, subscribe to English Avenue Bookish. Share this video with someone who is still waiting for their perfect moment. There is no perfect moment. There is only today. Comment below. I will train my mouth every day to lock in your commitment and join our community of vocal athletes. Your fluency begins when your fear ends. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be brave. Keep speaking, keep practicing, and never forget, your voice is your power. I'll see you in the next session.